Welcome, everyone. This class is a core focused Manipura, that's our third chakra class. And I'm kind of laughing to myself because every single time I record a core Manipura, this is motivation, our center of motivation. I resist. I don't want to do it. I like drag my feet and I don't know why. Because as soon as I'm going to start moving, I'm going to like my whole mood is going to change and I'm going to be so into it. And I don't resist in the other classes. So that's what's super interesting is this is our motivation and yet my motivation to do this work is like held back. So I don't really have an answer for you, but I just want to kind of call that out in case you were like, do I press play? Do I have to do this? I am right here with you. Anyways, I'm excited about the class regardless. It's going to be this isn't quite a flow class, and in fact, it's not a flow class at all. We're going to be really diving into the physical elements of the core. It from the point of strengthening and activating, but not in a way that is bad for our body or that burns you out. So it's going to be a little bit like a circuit. And so if you don't know what that means, we're going to repeat poses, really simple poses over and over, and we're going to kind of add on each time. And I know that sounds like a flow class, but it's actually it's going to feel more like a fitness class. And we're going to start with the basics. If you don't want to move beyond the basics because you're dealing with wrist stuff or shoulder stuff or whatever, then just stick with the basics. Repeating will be just as beneficial for you, whether you stay on hands and knees or move into plank. So the final note I have as we get started, we don't really need any props unless you use them anyways. But I have my watch on and I'm going to be using a timer because we're going to kind of hold poses about 30 seconds. And so you might hear a little ding and you might see me looking at my watch, and that's what I'm doing is I'm kind of resetting each time it dings. I'm resetting for the next pose. So I just wanted to call that out so you know what's going on there. So on that note, we're here. I'm super happy to be here. Go ahead and just land. Take a couple deep breaths. Take another deep breath. This is the hardest part, right? We're going to go right into some mobility. I want you to swing those hips in a hula hoop one direction, whatever direction. And so, as many of you know, because you've practiced with me for a while, when I describe core, sure, we can talk about just this front part of our abdominals, but I like to think about core as the whole trunk, front, back, and sides. So as you're doing this first mobility entrance into your movement, go ahead and just feel that center line, almost the equator of the body, and everything connects into it. Manipura, the name of the third chakra, means jewel in the city. So the middle of the being, that's where this kind of strength center lies. Go ahead and switch directions. Just see if you can notice those connections as you add this mobility in. And again, we're going to be pretty repetitive, pretty kind of straight today. So if there's ever a time that I don't offer some mobility and you need to add it in, go ahead and do that. And then just come into center and just kind of feel everything resettle. Going to continue with the same idea, this middle movement in the mobility frame. So I want you to just kind of swing your arms like noodles. And already, I've already done some movement today, and I can still just kind of hear my low back crack a little bit. And so the front of the trunk is the quote unquote core, depending on, who's defining it. And then the back, the low back, is supporting that core, right? The middle back as well. And so when our back hurts, there's a couple different things going on. It might be being pulled from your hips or your thighs. It could also be that your core muscles, not just the front, but all around your trunk, aren't working enough. And so your low back is kind of overcompensating. Those muscles get tight to kind of hold you up as you walk around, sit down, pick up things, etc. through your day. Do this like two more big flows, and then we're going to start to come back into center. Just kind of let everything drop to the center. Take a moment at center. That center line, centering. Good. Step your feet in. So again, we want to strengthen the center of our body so that we can protect the other parts. And we want our back to participate in our strength, but we don't want it to do it all. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, dive down over your legs. So just kind of fold in. Take a moment, let your head hang. And then you're going to just bend your left knee and peel your right arm to the sky. And I want you to stay here for a couple breaths. So it's okay. I'm kind of like dropping my right hip, or lifting my right hip, I guess is a better way of saying it. Kind of peeling up, take another inhale. And then exhale, soften right knee, just kind of pause at center. And then bend right knee, straighten left, reach left arm up. Feel a stretch all the way through hip, side body. Inhale. Exhale, fold, take a breath. We're going to go in and out of this side to side. So inhale, right arm up. Exhale, down. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, down. Up. And down. Up. And down, a couple more of these. So I really feel a nice stretch along my low back. I particularly hold some of that extra tension in my right back rather than left. And then just fold and relax. And soften your knees as you pour your spine over your legs so that you can really just kind of soften into it. Good, and then go ahead and come on up. Hands to heart. We're going to move into our circuit. I won't probably call it that very often, but just so, again, you kind of understand what I mean. First things first. All we're doing is hands and knees. So I know that this sounds kind of silly, but I want you to just find hands and knees. I want you to pull your belly in and, pull your belly in and lengthen the crown of your head. I want you to hug your two arms to the center and push your feet down. And then just like any yoga pose, we kind of go through that cycle again. Pull belly in, lengthen crown of head forward. Hug arms towards each other without moving hands. Push feet down. How do we get the whole body to participate in supporting the core while also supporting the core and activating those muscles? Good. So now we'll go ahead and drop down onto forearms. So it's the same thing. If you prefer flat hands, fine. I'm going to have my palms touching each other, just kind of more natural for me. Push elbows down, pull belly in, lengthen crown of head forward, push feet down. Push elbows down, pull belly in, lengthen crown of head, push feet down. Keep going. Create some heat, even when it's so simple. Go ahead and move into, we're going to go right around onto our butt. Bring your feet down. Lean back. So feet down. So this first cycle, we're in boat pose, obviously. In this first cycle, everything is accessible to most people, obviously not everyone, but to most folks doing this class. So I want you to just keep this in mind. If something gets too hard, you come back here or you just back up to the phase ahead of it. Good. And now you're going to come onto your side. Left knee down, left hand down, right hand down. And breathe here. And if this doesn't work because of your hand for whatever reason, you could be up here. Good. Other side. So right hand down, right knee down, left foot down. I know I didn't talk through, I kind of got distracted as I was talking about other things. I didn't talk through pushing hand down, lifting hip up, lengthening crown of head. Every pose we can activate with the same set of instructions from the next. Push down on your supports, hug into center line, lengthen crown of head. Good. Come on, if available, come onto your belly. If not available, drop your belly and stay in cow pose. If you're on your belly, we're in Sphinx pose. Even though this is not an activating pose, we also need to stretch the core. Give it some opening. And actually, Sphinx is going to be our come-to in this pose until the very end, because this is kind of our reset. So when we get to Sphinx, that's your sign that we're going to start it all over again. Good. Now, this time, plank pose. If you prefer kneeling plank, go ahead. We kind of skipped that one, so that would be a great option. So these are 30-second planks. Push down, lengthen, hug in at center. Push down, lengthen, hug in at center. Push down, lengthen, hug in at center. Good. Go ahead and drop the knees. We're going to bring the forearms down, palms touching. We're going to go to dolphin pose. So tuck your toes, lift your hips, walk your feet in. And here I really want to think about low back. So I want you to sit with knees bent, send your sitting bones higher. Good. Drop knees. Come to your seat. So you can tell we're kind of switching orientation on the mat. That's intentional. Keep things a little bit lively. So this time, reach your shins up or keep your feet down, either one. And then just pause. You're just going to hold like this. Push down, lengthen, hug in at center. Good. Go ahead and bring your right hand down. You're going to set up with left foot out on the pointed away from you and right leg long. So this is this kickstand side plank that we do sometimes in class, which is very strength building. This is never the easy way out, and really no modification is the easy way out. But just a reminder for yourself, if that's what you tell yourself. Good. Come down. Left hand is now your anchor. Right foot points away at center line. Left edge of foot on the mat. Breathe. Good. Go ahead and come down. Sphinx pose or variation. Again, you can think of this as our reset, our place to check in, to give a subtlety to the strength. Not everything needs to be big or fiery. Even in third chakra, even in this motivational space, we can't always be motivated. Sometimes we have to sit down on the couch and relax. Take another breath. Go ahead. We're coming right up into plank. So this time, plank to downward dog. So this feels very familiar, right? Inhale, plank, dog. Inhale, plank. So can you keep those activations when there's movement? Good. Go ahead and drop the knees. Once again, we're setting up for dolphin. Go ahead and lift. And then you're going to walk your feet out, but stay in dolphin, so it's just a little different. And you guessed it, you're going to inhale into forearm plank. Exhale, lift hips. Inhale, forearm plank. Nose comes a little more forward over hands. And then in a normal forward plank. Inhale, forearm plank. Exhale, dolphin. Continue. Good. Drop knees. We're going right into regular side plank. Arms up. Modify down. And I don't mean down like it's a step backwards. Into something that works for you is what I mean. Good. Switch. Take a little knee down as you prepare. Other side. Oh, you know what? I meant to do boat in there. Don't worry, it's coming. I was so excited to do the side plank. I bet you noticed. Good. Go ahead and come down. Boat. So I may have messed up my orientation, but that's okay. Go ahead and come into boat. And then, like you're holding a rope, go ahead and pull. So you want to I want to take that arm back and kind of let it go behind me. Good. Go ahead and roll over into Sphinx. Doesn't actually matter about the orientation, but it does kind of change up what arm we use first in side plank. Breathe. So I'm building heat. Hopefully you are too. See what that heat does for your attitude, for your mind, for that sense of motivation. Good. Come on up. We're going right into plank pose or a variation. This time in plank, you're going to drop knees and lift them up. Drop and lift. Drop and lift. We are at the end, you guys. Can you believe it? Not the end of the class, but the end of the circuit. This is our last circuit. So go ahead and come into your forearm plank. This time it's forearm plank, if you can, with knees up, and then you're just sawing. So back, saw. So it's just toes. It is not hips lifting. Good. Drop knees. Let's sit on the butt and go right into our boat pose. So coming into boat pose, you're going to take your arms and on an exhale, twist, up, twist, up, row, row, twist, up, twist, up, row, row, twist, up, twist, up, row, row. Good, that was it. So pause. So I actually want to pause everybody. I want to show you our last side plank, which isn't really a side plank at all. So we're going to sit like a zigzag. So I've got my left hand in this one, my left hand right under my shoulder. So that means my left knee is on the bottom, and then my right leg is up. So option one would be lift hips into this kind of variation of a knee down side plank. Option two, lift and kick down. So it's an inhale down, exhale, lift and kick. And we're going to do that for 30 seconds. Good. Go ahead and go the other side. I'll face you. I don't know that there's too much that needs to get set up, but I will pause it just so that we can get set up. So right hand down, knees like a square. And then the move is either here or here and lift. Okay, let's get started. And go. Good. Come on down. Last thing that I'll time is one final Sphinx pose, just for consistency. So how's that heat? How's that motivation? How's that smile? It's so funny what our minds do to us. And they quite honestly get in our way. Good, I'm turning this timer off. We are done with that. But I want you to stay where you are. If you're on your belly, bring your left forearm to the front of the mat so it's parallel. Bring your right foot back. And then just kick that right foot back into your hand and just feel this variation now. It's half bow. A little more opening through the chest. Just something different, right? Good, and then release. Other side. Right forearm. Left foot back, push foot, and open. Take another breath. Good, go ahead and roll however feels most comfortable for you onto your seat. Onto your seat to go onto your back. We are going to move into, we're going to do a couple things first. And then we'll move into a couple bridge lifts and a couple twists. And that will be our practice. So the first thing I want you to do, hands can rest wherever, and make sure your ponytail, if you have one, is completely removed from the back of your head. So your head is truly on the mat. And all I want you to do, I want you to keep everything just natural through your spine. And I want you to push your head down, just straight back. So most likely you're going to feel kind of the cervical spine build a little bit. This is a great practice. But I also want you to kind of feel what happens through the middle and the lower back when you do this. So it doesn't really need to be with a breath or anything. You just press your head down. Just feel kind of, do any muscles activate? Does it throw anything off? Maybe yes, maybe no. I kind of feel a little mildly neutral. I can feel that middle back, the thoracic, have a little reaction. Let's do one more. Good. And just take a moment, relax. So again, that's a great practice for your cervical spine, not the focus we're on today, but just FYI. And then push your feet down. But I want this to be a super small movement. And I want just your tailbone to tuck. And maybe your hips lift like the mount of a piece of paper. Maybe they don't lift off of the mat at all. That's fine. So you're just tucking tailbone. But when you do that, I want there to be some kind of cinching up at the core, that front core. And then you just lay everything back down. So again, you tailbone up and then lay down. Tailbone up and lay down. Let's do this about 10 more times. Again, this one is kind of nice with the breath, but you don't have to. And what I like about this is it's activating those front core muscles. It's also activating kind of glutes and everywhere else. But it's lengthening low back. And that's really what we want with it. We want the combo of the two. Let's do about 3 more. Okay, this last one, tailbone up, up. And now we're going to do 5, just 5 big lifts down, up, down, up. Can you tuck the tailbone at the top of that up so that your low back stays long? Let's do one more. Good. Check in with your bridge, your hips. And now at the top, I want 10 tailbone tuck lifts. Good, and then just stay lifted for a moment. See if you can relax the glutes a little bit, lift the hips a little higher. Take one more big breath, bridge. And lower. And then lift your knees up. I always like to kind of straighten my legs before bending them again. Reach your arms wide. And I want your knees to direct towards your left elbow. So it's kind of a big reach. And then just let them onto the ground. So it's okay that your right side body peels up. We just want to extend this space into the low back and activate that twist while also relaxing. So as we've mentioned already in this class, we have to give time to wind down, to do nothing. That is the way. A balance between motivate and relax. And it's just that tricky. I know that going from one to the other can be the trickiest part. When you're always going, it's really hard to kind of figure out where to stop. And when you're relaxing, it's hard to build your own heat to you and change your clothes. So just develop that relationship so you understand it better with yourself. Everything else becomes easier from there. Take a deeper breath. Good, right knee up and then left. Arms wide. Knees all the way over to right elbow. Turn your chin to the left. Same thing, just feel that back soften. And at the same time, the belly should soften as well. If you're someone that has a hard time doing nothing, that probably means you've got a really activated third chakra. That's great. But then where do we build that energy up in other parts that allow us to rest? Maybe that first and second chakra just need a little more attention, a little more time. Two more deep breaths. Exhale out of mouth. This time, just roll onto that right shoulder. Stay in the fetal position for just a moment, just kind of resetting. Then press up to a comfortable seat. Feeling, for me, a total energy shift. I mean, it doesn't take much, right? Just a couple plank poses, 30 minutes of movement. Thank you so much for being here. I wouldn't be here without you.